Okay, so you know that feeling, right, when you're just walking past a store and something, it just catches your eye, like that really sleek and shiny finish on, I don't know, like a special edition book or maybe a fancy chocolate box.
Yeah, it's like the packaging version of a siren song, you know?
Exactly. And that, my friends, is what we're diving deep into today. The world of hot foil operators. They're the artists behind that eye-catching allure. And to help us peel back the layers on this one, we're turning to RoleCatcher. They're kind of like career guidance gurus, but instead of a crystal ball, they've got algorithms and data.
And they're doing some really interesting stuff with AI, actually, helping people navigate that whole job market maze, which we'll definitely circle back to later.
Oh, we're absolutely coming back to that, don't worry. But first, let's get our hands a little dirty, shall we? When we say hot foil operator, what are they actually doing all day? It's easy to think, oh, they just push a button, shiny stuff happens. But RoleCatcher gave us a sneak peek, and let me tell you, it's way more involved. We're talking massive machines that need setting up, color mixing that requires serious precision, and then, of course, someone's got to keep an eagle eye on that whole production process, making sure everything runs smoothly.
Yeah, it's a role that really needs a balance, you know? You've got to have that technical side, but also a bit of an artistic eye.
And here's the kicker when something goes wrong. Because, let's be honest, it always does. They're the ones who have to troubleshoot, get those gears turning again. And that's where that mechanical knowledge comes in, especially when you're dealing with things like pressure cylinders. Those are crucial for getting the right, well, pressure during the foiling process.
Oh, absolutely. And we can't forget about the color matching. There's a real art to that. It's about understanding how different foils will react to, different materials, almost like an instinct. You got to spot a problem before it even becomes a problem.
It's definitely not your average factory gig, that's for sure. You need to be a creative problem solver. And speaking of RoleCatcher, they didn't hold back when it came to painting a picture of the work environment. The good, the bad, and, well, the potentially backbreaking. So, good news first. Skilled hot foil operators. They're in high demand, which is always music to a job seeker's ears. Plus, you get that element of creative expression, seeing your work, come to life in a physical way. And the earning potential. Not too shabby at all, especially since you don't necessarily need a four-year degree to get started. But, and you knew there was a but coming, it could be physically demanding, long hours on your feet kind of thing. And yeah, potential for those repetitive tasks is definitely there.
It's not for everyone, that's for sure. But if you're someone who thrives in a fast-paced environment, likes to get their hands dirty, it can be really rewarding.
So say you're ready, right, to jump into the world of hot foil stamping. You're pumped. You've got your safety goggles ready. But what's going to make you really stand out? What should people be highlighting on their resume to impress those hiring managers?
Well, first things first, you can put away that diploma. Because RoleCatcher says practical experience, that's your golden ticket in this field.
Okay, so experience over education. Got it.
Exactly. But when we talk experience, it's not just, oh, I've used a hot foil stamp before. They really emphasize mechanical aptitude, being able to understand those machines, keeping them running. And remember those pressure cylinders we talked about earlier? Yeah, knowing how those impact the final product is huge. And then, of course, understanding production, how the whole process works from start to finish.
So it's not enough to just be good with your hands. You got to have that big picture view, too.
Exactly. And let's not forget that attention to detail, we've mentioned it a couple of times, but it really can't be overstated.
It's like a balancing act almost.
Right.
Knowing the technical stuff, but also having that creative touch.
Yeah,
Right?
you hit the nail on the head. It reminds me, actually, of baking. You've got your recipe, that's your foundation. But the really good bakers, they have that instinct. They know when to tweak things, when the dough needs a little something extra.
Okay, I'm loving that analogy. So let's say you've paid your dues, you've got the skills, you're a hot foil whiz kid. What's next? Where does the career path actually go from there?
Well, RoleCatcher, they've got it mapped out pretty clearly. Typically, you'd start as an assistant, learning the ropes, getting comfortable with all the different machines and processes.
Right, paying your dues, like you said.
Yep, and then as you build up your skill set, you start operating the machines solo, handling more complex designs, taking on more responsibility.
So it's like a video game, right? You level up as you gain experience.
Haha, exactly. But here's the really cool thing about RoleCatcher. They don't just tell you, they show you. They've got these mock profiles for each stage of your career so you can see what a day in the life actually looks like. The tasks, the challenges, all of it.
Okay, that's seriously cool. Talk about insider info. But it doesn't stop there, right? And for those who are really crushing it, there's the potential to, manage entire teams of hot foil operators.
Absolutely. You could be overseeing the whole shebang, workflow, quality control, the works. High stakes, high reward, for sure.
Now, I know what our listeners are thinking because I'm thinking it too. This all sounds amazing, but how do I actually land one of these hot foil gigs? We touched on RoleCatcher's AI platform earlier. What makes it so special in the world of job hunting?
Okay, picture this. You've spent hours, maybe even days, polishing your resume. You're proud of it, right? But then it gets fed into some company's applicant tracking system, those AI gatekeepers, and it's like your resume just disappears into the void.
Oh, tell me about it. Those things can be brutal.
Right. Well, RoleCatcher, they're like the AI whisperers. Their platform actually analyzes job descriptions and figures out the keywords that'll make your resume stand out. No more guesswork, no more disappearing into the abyss.
So it's like having a personalized resume coach, but digital.
Exactly, and it gets better. They even help you tailor your resume to each specific job, highlighting the skills that matter most.
Okay, I'm sold. What else?
Well, remember those dreaded interview questions?
What? Don't remind me.
RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you prep for those too.
No way. How do they do it all?
They've really thought of everything. And it makes sense if you think about it. This focus on AI aligns with what we're seeing everywhere. Automation, it's not some futuristic fantasy anymore. It's here.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
100%. Tools like this, they can make a huge difference, especially for folks who are just starting out or looking for a change. It levels the playing field, gives everyone a fair shot.
Okay, so we've got the skills, we've got the career path, we've even got the tools to help us get hired. But let's talk turkey, right?
Yeah.
What kind of salary are we looking at in the hot foil world?
Ah, the million-dollar question. Thankfully, RoleCatcher has done the research, and they say the average hot foil operator earns, drumroll please, between $30,000 and $40,000 a year.
Not bad at all, especially considering you don't necessarily need that 4-year degree to break in.
Exactly. And they also mentioned that depending on where you work, you might even be represented by a union.
Oh, really? Like who?
They mentioned groups like the International Brotherhood of Teamsters and the Industrial Workers of the World.
Interesting. So there's potential for some added support and advocacy in this field, which is always good to know. Okay, so we've talked about like the nuts and bolts of this whole hot foil operator thing, right? The skills you need, where your career can go, even how much cash you could be raking in. But, let's take a step back for a sec. Why does any of this even matter?
It's about taking something ordinary, expected, and making it extraordinary. Think about it. Have you ever, picked up a magazine, a really high-end one, and that cover just shimmers? Or a wedding invitation, but it's got that special something that makes it feel like an heirloom? That, my friend, is the magic of hot foil.
And the hot foil operators, they're the ones making that magic happen. It's not just about running a machine. It's about being a part of something, I don't know, kind of beautiful, something that people connect with.
It's about taking a design, a flat image, and bringing it to life, adding another dimension. You've got light, texture. It's pretty cool when you think about it.
You know what? This whole deep dive has got me wanting to go on a hot foil hunt. I bet we see it everywhere, but we just don't even realize it. So here's a little challenge for our listeners. After you finish this episode, take a look around. Really look. See if you can spot the hot foil stamping, the way the light hits it, the details. It's kind of like a treasure hunt, right? And who knows, maybe it'll spark some ideas of your own. Maybe you will be the one designing the next hot foil masterpiece. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the world of hot foil operation.
We've covered a lot of ground, that's for sure. From the technical skills to the artistry of it all. And of course, those awesome tools that can help you launch your career.
And remember, folks, knowledge is power, but only if you actually use it, right? So get out there and make it happen.